If you just be, if you just be, all of these teachings will be revealed to you. You won't need to read any books, go to Satsangs, watch YouTube videos, plough through all the scriptures. If you just be. Maybe one thing I could add is not just be, but to know that your identity is being. To just be and somehow trust that what you truly are is this beingness that transcends body, mind, world, matter. Most of us come here, if we're seekers, most of us come here because we want to find something that ends suffering. Essentially, we realize we're suffering and we want our suffering to end. If you're like me, you don't care about, fundamentally, you don't care about non-duality, enlightenment, liberation. Fundamentally, we want to discover the end of suffering. For me, I couldn't care less about non-duality. The only reason I became interested in non-duality was because I was looking for a means to end my suffering. The only reason I became interested in meditation and enlightenment, maybe not meditation for me, but enlightenment and liberation, was to end suffering. I was taught meditation as a child. So I became interested in it because it was taught to me. But even then, my interest in it was because I noticed it gave me clarity of mind, peacefulness of mind, made me better at my studies, these sorts of things. So I was looking for an improved situation in my life. That's why most of us come to these teachings. We want to improve our life. We want to reduce suffering. And as we go further and further down the rabbit hole, we come across something like non-duality, Advaita, liberation. All the time, we're trying to end suffering. It was a great revelation to me when I came across the Buddha's teachings. And the Buddha said, I only talk about suffering. I only teach about suffering and how to end it. I only talk about suffering and its cessation, its ending. When I read that, something resonated with me. I thought, yes, it's true. I'm only interested in all this spiritual stuff because I'm hoping it will help me. I'm drawn to it. I'm attracted to it. Why? Because somehow a part of me knows that, or thinks that, or feels that it will help end my suffering. So this is why I share these teachings. This is why I'm here with you, to share in this good news that suffering can end. Just to hear that good news. That's the gospel. That's the good news. It is possible for suffering to end. This is what all these spiritual teachings, traditions teach us, isn't it? Somehow, it is possible for limitation, suffering to end. As you're listening to me, remember to also feel your own presence. Not just go into the mind, but to come into your presence and listen from there. The means and the end are the same eventually. So the teachings can be verbally spoken of in lots of different ways. But it's the same teaching if it's the true teaching. It doesn't matter how it's spoken. It doesn't matter how you speak about it. It's the same transmission, same teaching, same message. Life is constantly teaching this to us. But for most people, we need an external teacher, an apparent external teacher, just to make it clear. We're on our journey home, naturally, and we've just taken a detour. We're going off on a tangent. It's not going to take us home. And the teacher just pushes us back on track, and we're back on the path home again. We can say, thank you, teacher. Thank you, teaching. Thank you, life. Thank you, guru, in whichever form the guru appears. And back on track then. Really, it's impossible to leave this track. Really, you're always home, always home. It seems like we can lose track, or we can go off on a tangent, and then we suffer. But actually, it's not true. That's the illusion. So, how to end suffering? Let's get to it. As I said, it can be spoken of in many ways. But essentially, once you discover what you really are, well, this is what I'll say today, for now. Once you discover what you really are, the suffering ends. Now you think you're the body-mind entity, perhaps. We call that ignorance. It means not knowing. Ignorance means not knowing. It means you don't know what you really are. You're ignorant of your true nature. You think you're a body-mind entity. You think you're a limited human being. That's fine. And you suffer. You think you're born. You think you'll die. You think other people are born. You think other people will die. And you suffer. You think you're limited. You think you need things to be happy. Sex, drugs, alcohol, or whatnot. That's just 3 examples. It doesn't have to be that. You think you need things to be happy because you think you're a body-mind entity, and you suffer accordingly. You abuse yourself, you abuse your body, you abuse your mind to get your desires, and you perhaps you end up abusing other people along the way, to a greater or lesser extent. We might end up mistreating ourselves, devaluing ourselves, not honoring ourselves, and devaluing others along the way, perhaps. When we discover what we are, all this stuff, all this problem comes to an end. It's like magic. It's like a one cure, cures everything. Panacea. If you think you're the body-mind entity, you're probably seeking with the body and mind, mainly the mind. However, the problem is we cannot discover what we truly are with the mind. You are. The body-mind appears. You are conscious, you exist. The body-mind appears in your consciousness, in your beingness. You exist. You are here. You're conscious. The body-mind, second entity, appears, body-mind world. The body-mind appears in your consciousness, in your beingness. You are seeking with the body-mind. What you really are is just the beingness, devoid of body and mind. We're frantic in the mind, worried, suffering, scared, confused, maybe. Seeking pleasure, trying to avoid pain with the body, in the body-mind. But what we are is the beingness. The beingness can only be discovered with the beingness. So, this is why the entire teaching is know what you are beingness, and be what you are, beingness. All the questions and doubts come up in this secondary entity, the body-mind. And you're convinced that you're the body-mind. But if you let go of that conviction, that conviction that I'm the body-mind, which is ignorance, that ignorant conviction will wither and die. That's called realization. To help us, we might formulate a new conviction. I am beingness, I am pure consciousness, which is a conviction, a verbal conviction, upheld by the mind, just to get rid of the ignorant conviction, I'm the body-mind. We have a new form of ignorance, I'm pure consciousness, just to help us get rid of the original ignorance. We've got a second ignorance, more enlightened ignorance. I am consciousness, like an antidote. And then eventually, like a thorn to remove a thorn, and you throw both the thorns away, the new ignorance, the enlightened ignorance is used to remove the unenlightened ignorance. The thought, I am pure consciousness, is used to remove the belief, I am the body-mind, and we end up just as beingness. The beingness is all you've ever been. It's what you are now. The entire spiritual journey is just in the mind. It's not real. It's a fiction. But we talk about it, and we talk about it as if it is real, just for the purposes of giving a teaching. But with realization, it's realized that realization has always been here, and there is no need for realization. You already are what you seek, what you need. But of course, while we're attached to the body-mind, that's not believed, or it's not felt to be true, because we're paying attention to body-mind illusion. Come out of body-mind illusion, attention comes back to beingness. We are what we are. Oneness prevails. Illusions dissolve. Suffering ends.